barely hear that station. Wait, was that something for the old Tube Radio Network?
No, he's a guy walking his dog with the handy-talkie.
Oh, okay. No wonder it's so weak. All right. Speaking of weak, this week, the first week of May 4th, 2019, the old Tube Radio Network has all the appearances of being on the air. So we'll get started here a little bit tardy. I was in Fowler at an event for the Wildlife Rescue, and now we're going to rescue some old tube radios.
Liftoff.
Reminding people that the Old Tube Radio Network at oldtuberadio.net is the live stream. Google YouTube should have the video. Hello to those who might be watching. We'll take a look in just a minute, see who is out there. And those at 27085 Channel 11 listening into the RF zone, wherever it may be. There was just a little bit of skip rolling in this afternoon around 4:30, and then that went away real quick. I don't know how it's been since then. We'll be checking in your classic tube radios from 1958 to 1978. But first, the DirectNet roll call, and we are in, I can't believe it, week 4 already. Let's see if 00 is ready to go.
00 checking in, and go ahead and check in 77. I will be off to dinner. Everybody enjoy their evening, and hello, and 73s to all the listeners.
All right, thank you. Dinner sounds like a good thing. 00 getting us checked in. The roll call is on its way. Hopefully we will be chatting with some of your favorite old tube radio personalities and radio manufacturers tonight. I do need to bring up, what do I need? I need the SWL check-in screen so you can follow along at oldtuberadio.net. And make sure you get checked in like 00 and SWL1. SWL2, OBP often hangs out on the video page where I see Ray coming up to you, DD21 coming up to you, JT, the mighty KUH, hello, Brian, and Butterbean from Northeast Georgia, waving a hand. Looking good on the video side. SWL number 3. Get Rob checked in from last night, where I think he actually cashed. It was the last evening for the Winter Bowling League, and he was doing well enough, I think, to bring home a little envelope of prize winnings for that evening. Have to see how he did on that. SWL4. SWL5. Shortwave listener 6. SWL7. SWL 11 and 12 via email for Jim and Lisa. SWL 13. And before I go too far, I should scroll down the other page here. A lot of you do check in at oldtuberadio.net, and that's a good way to go. If you can't make it on the over-the-air style, keep an eye out for those checking in that way. SWL 14. SWL 15. SWL 16. Shortwave listener 17. SWL 18. I'm getting the RF again tonight. Let me switch over to, what video can we put up? Go to the S meter so you can give yourself a radio check as you check in. SWL 19. Shortwave listener 20.
Hello, Dennis. Good evening. Number 20 here. Also check in 29 and 135, if you would.
I will do that. The radio sounds good on which you're talking. I'm sure we'll find out more about it when we start glowing in the dark here in just a little bit. SWL 21, Mr. JT, who is up and running. I see you on the video site. I was not in the air chair this afternoon, so I'm not sure what happened. Okay, you're giving me the skinny here. Operated a DAC 9 on Old Radio Night tonight. Only 2 tubes, but it tries harder. That's a hybrid, right? That's a solid-state receive with tube finals. He's experiencing a tingle in his ground rod. The DAC might do that. Maybe try a DAC 10. So it must be time to ask for a check-in. Well, a check-in you've got. So speaking of checking things, check the ground rod. There is, ARRL is putting out they sent me an email saying that I could get a special deal on grounding and bonding, their grounding and bonding book. So maybe your classic picture of the world's longest ground rod is in the ARRL booklet. I'm not sure. Thanks from waving a hand from the Wasama Swamps in South Carolina, Mr. JT. Sorry I missed the program tonight. SWL 22. Shortwave listener 23. SWL 24. SWL 25.
Hello, Dennis. 25 checking in. Just got back from the ever popular butterfly extravaganza in Mariposa. But anyway, the only butterflies that I saw were unfortunately in the grill of my truck. Anyway, back to you.
Creating your own butterfly extravaganza. A lot of things going on this weekend tonight. I was down in Fowler looking at owls and vultures, eagles. What else was around there? But none of those on the windshield, that's for sure. You are sounding good, and we've got you checked in.
Thanks, Dennis. I'd like proxy 74 N2. Thank you.
I can do that. Thanks for checking in, and we'll head over to page 2, where we will ask for, and I do not have the crossband set up, so if anyone hears a check-in, I would appreciate a relay if that is possible. Going over to SWL 27. We've got a proxy check-in for SWL 29. Takes us to SWL 31, where I should check. I haven't even said hello. I've not said hello to our stations listening in at oldtuberadio.net, all the way from Fresno up to Fish Camp. That's near Yosemite. Dual listeners from Maryland, Hagerstown, Brentwood, California. X4000 is in. We'll get X4000 checked in. New York is on. Hello to Liverpool, Southern California, Centerville, Virginia, coming up to you, Somerville, South Carolina. Still looking good. Dallas, Georgia, Washington, might have some skip. Hendersonville, Tennessee. That's the jackpot right here where we're looking for SWL 31. Robert and Teresa. Inglewood, Colorado, as well as Woodland Park or sites near that. A couple of Colorado stations. Hello to you. Hello to Artillery Station and Florence, Kentucky, and a host of others who will be tuning in tonight on the Old Tube Radio Network. We've got 31 checked in. Over to SWL 32. SWL 33, myself, Boso Control. All right, the honking proboscis is there. I have not heard the jingle singers yet tonight. I don't see any cables on the floor. I'm not sure if they've done the microphone runs or not. We will have to see. Maybe I'll try and get them up to the ribbon microphones here for a little song and dance coming up. Next, we've got SWL 35, and I do believe I saw Mr. Bill on the roster here. Let me see. Yes, indeed. Checking in from the Cowboy State moments ago. Hope all is going well. Occasionally see pictures of the Red Monkey transportation lunar excursion module, whatever you call it there, the trailer full of goodies, bringing joy to girls and boys for their CB radio pleasure. Next week, got SWL 36. SWL 37.
37 here, Dennis, and I was just thinking myself, the singers back there, maybe they're using cordless microphones.
Maybe. You got to be careful when you're running cordless. I was doing a television venue Wednesday and Thursday for the big hubbub here in town, and we were using a lot of wireless microphones. And when you're trying to get them to work through big 8-inch solid walls of cement and lots of people running around, it can sometimes be difficult. So I think we're going to wire them up as a backup, too. Thanks for checking in.
You bet, Dennis.
It's amazing. Let me tell you, it's amazing how many wires you need to actually go wireless. This is not a perfected art yet. SWL 39. SWL 40.
SWL 40 checking in, and let's see, you might need to proxy in 42.
I will do that. That might be our 3 play from that one. So I will play that one by ear and do just that. But SWL 40 is live at the Microphonium in beautiful Chinatown, where it's looking good tonight. Thanks. And I want to say hello to who was waving a hand from Spokane. John out there saying that they're listening for the band to open up, which it often does. And we'll hear 709 and the gang out there near Spokane tonight. And also Rob in Colorado said that he had his first 6-meter opening. And that tends to do that, I think, during the summer, looking for some good E-skib. Not only for 6 meters, but here on 11 meters as well. Here listening to OTR in real time. No delay listening into the net. Well, we will keep our fingers crossed. Rob, see what we'll do here. SWL 41. SWL 42. Get a proxy for 42. SWL 43. Still hearing some RF in the audio. SWL 44. I do believe that I saw Raymond, or did I? That would be the Utah station. Checking the list. He'll be around shortly. I'm going to check him in. I bet he will be out there. Let's head up to North Fork for SWL 45.
Super tonight, Dennis. 45.
All right, what do they say? Just by the hair of my chinny chin here tonight. But all is working well. I sort of preset everything hours ahead of time, hoping that when I return to the Radio Shack, there would be a Radio Shack left, not just smoldering components. So far it's worked well. You are checked in. Hope you and Kelly are doing well.
Thanks, Dennis.
And there's that SWL 44 I was talking about. He's at the top, up in the balcony, shining the flashlight down here into the air chair. I see you, Ray. I see your shenanigans up there. We got you checked in. Let's try SWL 46. SWL 47. SWL 48. All right, live and direct on the RF zone. SWL 48, KP near Madera Town. Thank you, sir. Got you checked in. SWL 49. Shortwave listener 50. SWL 51.
SWL 51 checking in.
SWL 51, hello, Dave. All my travels never take me to Sanger. They take me to Reedley and Dinuba and Fowler and Clovis and Oakhurst and Auberry. We never seem to do anything in Sanger. We'll have to fix that. You're sounding good. We've got you checked in.
Thank you, Dennis. Have a good evening.
SWL 52. Shortwave listener 53.
Hello, Dennis. 53 checking in.
Just like clockwork. Thanks, Bob. We've got the X in the square for Mr. Belair.
Thank you.
Reminder that the classic tube radios, glowing in the dark, will be parading by your Universal Media NetWeb device, speaker, iPhone, video screen, however you're getting the old Tube Radio Network tonight, coming up here after the roll call, so don't go away. Hopefully we'll have some, as we always do, some very interesting items of interest. Over to SWL 54. Got a note to proxy in 54, which we will do. SWL 55.
55, checking.
55 checking in. Thank you, M&M. Sounding good here in Midtown Fresno tonight.
Thank you, Dennis.
SWL 56.
Good evening, Dennis and the net. 56, just for kicks.
All right, Phil, 56 just for kicks. In the land of, isn't May, March, April, May, when they have all the big street sales and auctions? What did I see today? I think it was Simpson. I think Simpson was on the block today for their big sale. Anyway, you're sounding good. Thanks for checking in. And Ray, I didn't think to re-look over on the video side where the Delta Delta X-ray logo is being displayed quite prominently. So my bad, as they say, for thinking you weren't out there, because you're always there even before we light up the tube. We are on page 3 if you're playing the home game, looking for SWL 58. SWL 59. SWL 60.
Thank you much, Dennis. Doggone it, little bit of information here on 69, 800. He's home. In fact, he's between the sheets right now. I called him about 7 o'clock. We've been kind of keeping up with him on his little trip to Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. And last night he spent the night in Shamrock, Texas. And he just got there today at 3. And I called him about 7:20, which was already 9:20 up there. And he tells me all is well. Tired as could be, but he's there. Doggone it, I just wanted to let you know that he's home. Tulsa, Oklahoma, Broken Arrow. Okay, SWL 60, checking in this 2901 base, the DX 2527.
As always, the 2527 sounding good. And you're sounding good as well. Got the X in the square. Thanks for the update on Kenny there, 69. I imagine he's got a lot to do and doing a lot, so it's easy to get tired, and the 2-hour time delay, it's good to know he made it. And we're going to put a proxy check-in for Ken. Tulsa, Oklahoma. Actually, it was in Tulsa in 1985 for a bowling tournament. The USBC, no, it was like ABC Nationals or something. Anyway, it's been a long time since I've been out that way. Thanks for checking in. Let's go over to SWL 61.
61, check in, Dennis.
Boy, dynamite signal into Midtown, Dean. Even showing up on the S meter in fine style. We got you checked in.
Thank you, Dennis. And I want to fill my ground plane thanks to Howell and Chicken Hawk. It's noisy on this end, but I guess it's still getting out all right.
Oh, yeah, getting out fine. Sounds good. Not in the noise at all. Thanks.
Thanks, sir.
SWL 62.
Break OTR.
Anytime, Dennis. This is 62. Check
from downtown Clovis, on frequency and on time.
I could have used you today. I was off frequency. I was almost on time, but I was way off frequency. But in the nick of time, I made it down here to 27085, which is where the good things happen on Saturday evenings with those tube radios. You're sounding good, Rex. Lucky Lindy with an X in the square from downtown Clovis. Thanks.
Thanks, Dennis. See you next week.
And there was a breaking station for OTR. Go ahead. Over.
Dennis, first of all, I have to apologize to you and all the SWL listeners. This is 58 checking in from the other side of the ditch banks, the poor side of the ditch banks, at Bones' side. I think his name is. Anyways. Sorry I'm late. 58 checking in. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Sounding good. What was that, a Johnny Rivers song, The Poor Side of Town? I think that's where I'm at. You're sounding good. You know, for those playing the home game, it's not too bad. We are on page 3, working our way down page 3, so we just back up a few to SWL 58. And we could X in the square for Jeremy and make sure I get you on the big board as well. Thanks for checking in. I think as long as you see the glowing tube, glowing 6L6 at oldtuberadio.net, you can get checked in with no problem. Let's try SWL 63. And that's Bubba and all the gang. Boy, that RF is just coming and going here. I better not move. All the gang from New York and out that area are out there listening in tonight. Who else is out there? Smarty Jones is also waving a hand on the video side. Let's try SWL 64. SWL 65. SWL 66. Shortwave listener 67. SWL 68. We got the update. Okay, I'm wearing different shoes. I got these big boots on. Wasn't sure if I was going to be having to tromp through the dirt, this thing I was at, but it was not. It was out at the Simonian Fruit Packing Company. A nice concrete slab, so I didn't have to worry about that. We got Kenny checked in on the update for SWL 69. How about SWL 70? SWL 71, I do believe, let me update my screen here. Well, that's interesting. Oh, because they had more updates. I knew I saw Stan in there checking in. No contesting for this weekend due to storms in the area. There's kind of storms off and on. In fact, we are carrying the New Orleans 50th anniversary Blues and Jazz Festival. We're taking snippets out of that at the FM radio station, and apparently today they had a 3-hour delay. We didn't go on until 2, so they were already on, but I think normally they start in the 9 in the morning. I think they said there was a 3-hour delay due to rain and the thunderstorms and all that in New Orleans. So I hear you, Stan, with the bad weather coming through, but we got you checked in from Dallas, Georgia. And we will be looking for any form of Pure Simpson radios today on the Old Tube Radio Network during the check-in. Next is SWL 72. SWL 73. And my apologies to those on the audio stream. I'm experiencing a little bit of RF coming into the sound card here. It seems to be getting worse, so hopefully it will hold its own. You can always try to put your favorite radio on channel 11 and point the stacked moonrakers towards Central California if you're out of the area. See if you can pick us up. We've got a proxy check-in for Miss Jilly, SWL 74, SWL 75, SWL 77 at the dinner bell, but checked in as 00 at the beginning of the the net here. Thanks, Dennis. Over to SWL 79. SWL 80. And we will go over to page 4. And hello to TB40 Ford, KBG 665, Travis in the Bluegrass, sitting by the 12.6 the 12.6 LQ sixes. That's a lot of tubes, driving a lot of tubes. Yeah, you're in at least one fan blowing across those. That'll keep the room up for sure when you are transmitting down. Speaking of 40 Fords, in the neighborhood here, there is, and I always had trouble with the 38, the 39s, and the 40s. Telling the difference. I'm sure if you're really good at it, you won't have to look too hard. But there is a four-door, is it a four-door sedan? I think it's a four-door sedan. Just like off the showroom floor, a couple blocks from me. Kind of a grayish color. I think it's a 40. Could be a 39. Maybe a 38, but I bet it's a 40 Ford. Just super nice condition. Where are we at? SWL 81. And let's try the ditch banks once again. SWL 82.
Checking in. I'm sorry, I'm late with the freight.
All right. Well, I was about to check you in because I did hear you in there earlier, but you are archived, so nobody can't say you weren't there. Got you checked in.
All right, thank you, Dan. Neighbor's cooler. Yeah, it's been neighbor's cooler because he checked in with a better radio than last week, which was mine, so here we are, and we did get wet in the ditch banks. The 4x4 side-by-side Honda deal, it got stuck, and we got wet in the ditch bank. Sorry.
Oh, no. We'll have to talk to, who is it, 25. I think he's had some experience in getting those tires in the ditch banks where you can't get out, or you find that one rock. All right, well, it sounds like you may have been able to overcome said melody, and you are back in the Radio Shack, so that's a good thing. Thanks, Ron, for checking in. That will take us up. Don't go away. Radios are coming right up. Your favorite glow-in-the-dark radios. Over to SWL 84.
Hello.
SWL 84. SWL 85, and I think I had a note. I've got to pull down the screen here. Note from 85 saying there was a high noise floor tonight in Reedley. So, yeah, if you're hearing us from Midtown, I will get you checked in, John. Over.
Bragg station.
And the Bragg station, as I glance over to page 2. Go ahead.
50 checking in.
50 sounding good. I always have to look, that radio is so loud, look at my S meter and think, okay, no, you're still where you should be. You didn't put the Eagle in the mobile. You are sounding good, sir, and 50's checked in. SWL 85 we got, SWL 86, SWL 87, SWL 88, shortwave listener 89, SWL 90, you got a proxy check in for 90, SWL 92, SWL 98.
Good evening, Dennis.
And good evening to Fresno Dave, enjoying a Saturday evening out your way. We've got you checked in, sir.
Thank you.
Then over to maybe in the Mobile. I know he's been looking at some pieces and parts and antennas and building the superstation. SWL 103. Shortwave listener 109. SWL 110. SWL 111. And I got the high noise level on Reedley. We'll give Robert a check-in, who is saying that after 9 hours of VHF with the... he was up on the working the ride tonight, or this afternoon. And then the WPSS monitor, he's toast. Yeah, when you get up when the sun rises or before the sun rises, it is probably a good bet that you may be going to bed when the sun sets. So, Robert, if you are listening to the archives, rest assured we got you checked in, and thanks for all you're doing, keeping the public service part of amateur radio intact. Let's head over to SWL 114.
Hey, Dennis, Wade's out of town, and he'd like me to proxy him in tonight, please. I know I'm not as loud as he is, but could you please proxy in 114 tonight?
Hey, I can do that. You are, what do we say, 9 pounds, good modulation at Chestnut and heard and sounding good on the Old Tube Radio Network tonight. And 114, Wayne, the Rickshaw Kid, is checked in thanks to you.
Yeah, thank you. I'll be standing by waiting for my call.
All right, good deal. And, you know what? Good information. 40 Ford had the first windshield wipers mounted down on the cowl. They weren't the ones on the top that go across. I will look for that. Okay, cool. 38 and 39, the wipers were mounted in the top and swung down. Thanks so much. You know, I have been wondering about that. I've been seeing that car for years, and I built a model of a 38. Back the little Revell or whatever models they were, black plastic models, and that was a long time ago. Now wipers tell the thing. I know how to do the 44, the 49 Ford, and the 50 Ford. It's the parking lights, and the little opener on the trunk. I know that. I know the parking light thing. But now I've got the secret. Thanks. I've got the secret. So it's the 38 and 39 I'll have trouble with, but 40 is an easy deal. Next on the roll call is SWL 128. That is John Lee in Fairfax, Virginia, who is out there tonight. Let me see what 128 has to say. Checking in. Missed the net last week. Well, somebody proxied you in, John, but I'm going to put an X in the square. Maybe I did. It was in the theater watching Endgames. Thunderstorm rolling through the area right now. All coax disconnected. Yeah, it is. You guys in 4 and 5 land having some big storms out there, so stay safe. Keep the coax disconnected, but glad you are here on the Universal Media Network web to get checked into the Old Tube Radio Network. Let's try SWL 131. SWL 133.
Good evening, Dennis. 133 is checking in.
Good signal and good audio as always, Dave. Thanks for checking in.
Thank you.
SWL 135. Give him a chance to check in. I'm not listening or can't listen in on the crossband, but I will give Cliff a check-in as per request for the proxy check-in. Also SWL 137 as well. And it takes us up to a station who I know is out there, SWL 145.
Yeah, 145 checking in. Thank you, Dennis.
And thanks for tuning in, Tony, to the Old Tube Radio Network, where we will be talking with and checking out the tube radios here in just a few moments. Over to SWL 147. It was probably in that inclement weather zone as well. Kakalaki says he's checking in with good old southern thunderstorms in the background and still no conditions. Let me know if you find any. Like I said, I heard, I was up here prepping for the net about 4 hours ago now. And about 15 minutes, Skip rolled in, not very loud, and then it went away. So we'll have to wait for those evening E-skip openings. Keep the 6-meter DX windows open. If it opens, then we might be having some items here. Got you checked in, Neil. And let's head over to SWL 195. I think that's you, Jim. There was a lot of static in the audio, but the signal was good. Try it again.
One time. We'll try it this time.
Yeah, much bueno-ness there. Sounding good audio, video, and everything else. So 195 is checked in.
Thank you, Dennis.
Then we'll try SWL 226. And any stations who would like to check in now that I might have missed, of course, you can check in any time that we are doing the net here tonight.
Mayor 1.
Hey, how's it going? Over.
Nice going, over. You went right over me, over.
Yeah, maybe I'm going too fast. I'm trying to get to those tube radios. SWL 93 at the microphone and sounding good for the official check-in, over.
Thanks much. Hey, by the way, I want to relinquish my number back into the hat.
So you want to be, as we say, anonymous but great?
No, I just, I'm going to be away from the radio and all that kind of stuff there for a while, so I think it's just better to throw a number in the hat and let it go.
All right, we can do that. We've got an 8-week roster that's halfway through, so 93 will run out through that. But when you return, you never know. Maybe it'll be available. Maybe you'll fancy some other number.
Dirty. All righty. We'll catch you next time on the radio. We're clear.
All right, and as I always say, it is not necessary to have any kind of number, even an old tube radio for that matter, to say hello and check in with us here while the net is on the air. It's just something we've been doing for a long time for those who didn't have tube radios or let us know that they're listening in, saying hello at the beginning of the network roll call. So it's a fun thing to do, but no numbers are required for sure. So with that in mind, give me a moment or two to set up for the tube radio check-ins, which will be coming up next. I'll be back in the air chair in just a few, and then we'll see what kind of radios are making it by tonight on the old tube radio network. Back in a moment.
Okay, then 24 will be waiting.
And 24, before I jump out of the air chair, and when I have everything set up here, we will put the check-in for 24 over in page 1. Thanks, Joseph. The Braco, Terry, go ahead.
165 is up here way with a hand.
And 165 must be in my noise zone tonight. But we're glad to have him aboard the Old Tube Radio Network, beaconing worldwide, all over the place at oldtuberadio.net, and we do archive whatever goes on here tonight on the archive section, and also we keep the video up for a while. Back in a moment. Thanks for the relay. Back in a moment with the tube radios. Well, if I get the white balance to work, we'll have audio, video, and everything else. Welcome, everybody. You are listening and watching the Old Tube Radio Network.
How do you do, ladies and gentlemen? Greetings to you, wherever you are. For music and the latest news from home and from afar, the station for you is
OTR, Old Tube Radio.
The station for you is
OTR.
Hopefully the station for you is OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network. 30-plus years on the air every Saturday evening from 8 p.m. Pacific time to who knows when we can check in those fine, good-sounding, but not made anymore classic tube radios, thanks to our radio collectors who take time out of their evening activities to jump into the radio room and share them with us. We are listening for them now. OTR standing by for radio number 1.
45.
And just like the best day fishing, throw out the line and we get a bite right off the bat. Hello, Paul. We'll go ahead and jump up into the air chair here and we'll talk about your radio. Log you in at 8:49 and back to you. Over.
Okay. This is the radio that I have very little information on. It didn't even come out in the Sam's book. It's an ICO Centennial 23.
We've run across a few like that for some reason didn't make it or couldn't make it into the Sam's photo fax. I have brought up a picture of, it says, ICO Sentinel 23, courtesy of Paul. That's you. So I'll go ahead and bring that picture up to the video queue while we go back to you for some audio. It looks like a nice radio. Over.
Very clean radio. Matter of fact, the inside is clean as the outside. This thing's got an all-copper chassis on it. Just beautiful. The tubes thrown in there with the copper chassis below it. Fantastic. I don't know whether this is manufactured in Japan by Panasonic. I don't believe so, but I don't know. I know nothing about the radio other than what I'm just telling you right now. It's a first-class radio. Standby switch on the thing, and other than that, basically it's pretty simple in the front. Just a clean radio. Back to you.
Nice-looking radio. Sounds good coming into the net here. I'm wondering, don't have a picture of the insides. So it reminds me, was it the Allied? The Allied radio? I don't know. I wonder if that's a knockoff of something else. 10 tubes. We got the tube complement here. Sometimes that's a good way to compare it to something. All 6-volt tubes. No, there's a 12 BE6 in the receive converter. But everything else are 6-volt tubes and 10 of them. Since you don't bring this one by very often, it'll give you a frequency check on the next go-around, but it's playing well tonight. Over.
Yeah, I checked all my radios tonight. I think I'm pretty close on all of them. Yeah, that way you won't jump on me. I'm kidding with you. Okay, I hope you had that time. I'll tell you some more stuff about it when I get back on air.
Yeah, very close. Zero beat at 84 and 950, something like that. So less than 100 cycles on the low side. So it's right there. Sure, it's all crystal controlled. I don't think that would be, well, it could be. Whenever it came out, it could be the synthesizer, but it's still crystal controlled, of course. But instead of having all separate crystals for each channel, might be in the synthesized stuff. I like the looks of this. This is your classic kind of in-between tube radio, where it's not real utility, it's not super fancy with the wood case, but it's got everything you need, and it can play well in the shop or maybe hidden in the living room somewhere. And I like the way that whoever took the picture of it dialed it up to channel 11. Over.
Comment. It's real plain and just real neat looking. I'm running a stock microphone thing. I think it's a stock microphone for this radio. It's a turner mic. It's much like the M+2U amplifier, but this is not amplified. It's a stock mic. Other than that, I tell you, it's It's just a pretty radio. It's got a green wrinkle finish on the radio, on the case, and the front end is polished aluminum, and it's got the 1 meter on the right-hand side, of course, that's S-meters, and very simple front end on the thing. That modulation light on the left of the control. It's got 23 channels with channel 22A. Back to you.
Yes, 22A. Remember, everybody, go to the other one. Switch to the secret channel. I wonder what you have to do to get it functional. My Navajo, you had to go inside and cut. You really did. You had to cut the green wire. There is a comment, so we're going to go over to Harvey, who may have some information about the radio. Your audio is good. I don't know if it's 100% modulated or not, but it sounds good, nice quality, and it is moving the meter forward. That leads me to believe, one, that the radio isn't over peaked. You've still got some headroom, and two, that you've got enough audio to actually make it jump a bit. Harvey, if you are listening, take a transmission on the comment over.
Is he still talking about the Sentinel 23?
Yes, indeed. We are chatting on the ICO Sentinel 23. Over.
The Sentinel 23 is in Sam's PhotoFact 9. It's kind of listed as the model number 779, and sometimes in parentheses it'll say Sentinel 23, and sometimes it won't. So it's in Sam's CB9.
All right, Paul, don't know if you copied that, but make a note. I don't know how extensive your collections of the Sam's PhotoFacts are, but you can find it in CB9, although it might be listed under a different name, but it is in CB9.
Yeah, I was going to tell you about that. Thanks, Harvey. I already had that on my mind. I had it written down here in Sam's 9. It is much like it, I'll tell you that for sure. It's got a different number on it, which is 779. I don't know what they've done to the inside differently, not having a schematic on this particular one, if it is this particular one. I don't know, Harvey. Anyway, back to you.
Okay. The Sentinel Pro is in CB17, and it's the model 779A. Anyway, okay, I'm going back to what I'm doing. Bye.
This is the go back to what you are doing frequency. Hopefully it is something fun and something that is radio related here for the Old Tube Radio Network tonight. There it is. Thank you, Chet. Chet chiming in at oldtuberadio.net, and that's the radio I was thinking about, the Realistic Americana 23, which I think we have had checked in. Chet says the ICO Sentinel 23, the same as the Realistic Americana 23 Plus, which might also be in one of those Sam's PhotoFacts. We have the best listeners, let me tell you. They are very knowledgeable. So there you go. I was going to say that front end looked very similar. So, Paul, back to you for transmission. It really is playing well on the stock, with the stock audio, and the signal is good on the ICO Sentinel 23 over.
Yeah, that's good. I like the stock mics. I like the internal mics anyway. It's a newer style, like the M+2U on the thing. It's prettier mic. Okay, that's about it, and thanks again for checking it in, Dennis.
All right, before you go, Paul, do you recall in your collection, do you have, I thought you had checked in, maybe I'm thinking of somebody else, a Realistic Americana? Does that ring a bell, the Realistic Americana 23?
I'm not too sure, but a lot of my bells don't ring most of the time. So, could be. I'll think about it. But I don't, right off the top of my head, I'd say no.
That's me. I have the Americana Plus. I got that from Bill, so he may have checked it in, and I think I did once. Okay,
that's where we have it. That, in theory, should be very, very similar on the inside. Same radio, same stuff. All right, good deal. Radio number 1, the ICO Sentinel 23. Let me see, what are we looking at? We're looking at the S-meter. I switched the video back over to the control room here. Doing a good job on the Old Tube Radio Network. It is close to the top of the hour. I'm going to see if we have another radio check-in before we go over to the Jingle Singers. OTR listening. And no matter how many times I white balance the camera, don't add pictures to radio. It just messes it up. It could be the white shirt that's reflecting. Okay, we'll do, I just getting a nod from over in the control room that Jingle Singers are ready for the top of the hour ID. And let's see if we can sing it loud enough where they can hear it in Ohio. Here we go.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, your favorite spot on the dial by far is known to you.
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
The station for you is
OTR.
The Old Tube Radio Network, 27085 is where we are on, transmitting in the RF zone. Everywhere else at oldtuberadio.net, looking for Radio 2. A lot of things going on. The weather is good here in Central California. No thunderstorms or anything like that. So a lot of people are out enjoying the flora and the fauna, barbecues, a lot of venues and things happening. When I was driving home off the freeway, you could just see parking lots full of those little pop-up little tent things where people were doing stuff, so might have a lot of late or almost late check-ins tonight as we listen for radio number 2. Oh, and Steve mentioning they were with the Jingle Singers in the Kentucky Derby today. Maybe that's... there was the big trophy over there. Maybe that's what that was. That was carried live on the Bob and Steve show out there in Ohio, no doubt. And I think they ran Bozo Control's famous entry, famous horse. What is it? What is the name? What's the name of your horse? Also Rans? Yeah, it's probably still running around the track. Said they used a private jet. I'll probably get the bill. All the bills are sent over to the other room. They're stacking up. Looking for Radio 2.
45.
Hello, sir. Might you have Radio 2 connected to your current microphonium?
Yes, sir. Maybe wake up somebody else out there too. Yeah, this is my 40-channel radio. It's a nice radio. Gymtronics GTX-5000.
Yes, they did, dude. 40-channel CB Tube radio. Most of them, not all of them, but most of them were that Panasonic chassis that we'll be talking about, because I believe that's what you got there. This is, I do not have the best picture of, it's not monochrome, but it's not showing it as Panasonic GTX 5000 Glory, but I'll slide it into frame here so we can look at it while you talk. And of course, Browning made a 40 channel. They got 40 channels in there as well. And of course, I think Tram did too. I'm not sure if they were all tubes. But to take a transmission on the Gymtronics GTX 5000 sounds really good. The audio is nice as well as the signal. Over.
Yeah, okay. I think it's a little stronger than the ICO, which is not understandable. I mean, this is made in Japan and by Panasonic, and they did a super job on the radios. This is really a pretty radio. I think this is even prettier than the other ones that they've made with the color and everything on it. They got a dial up there that's lit with orange and yellow and green and lights on the thing. Got, of course, that LED on the thing. readout 11. That's the hybrid on the thing. It is definitely a hybrid. Back to you, Dennis.
Back to me in the studio. Similar to the Robin T240D, the T-Berry T, I guess the 40-channel model. I had a 23-channel model too. Shakespeare Colt. And then the tech note of the day. That is in Sam's CB202. Normally we deal with the single-digit or the double-digit numbers with most of the radios we check in, but that one made it actually into 202. Tech note of the day. Remove the limiter. You may or may not want to do that, but we're not recommending these things. Remove the limiter by clipping D601. D601, taking limiter out, really gives the mic audio more highs and low range. Of course, when you do that kind of stuff, you have to make sure that you are running the microphone properly. That radio is nice and loud. It's nice and smooth. If it's got the limiter in it, you're doing just fine. Really good fidelity. Listening in the headphonium's got some nice low frequency and probably an S unit above where the ICO was on power, but still sounding good. Back to you.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm using a Turner mic. The thing is, no, not either. This is my, I got confused on it. This is my Aesthetic TMD-107.
That is a good choice for that radio. It's got some nice punch, articulation in the high, mid-range, and it has some good low frequencies in it as well if anyone's listening on a larger speaker. Radio number 2 from Paul, and I haven't even written it down yet. Let me do that. The Gemtronics GTX 5000. And I always make a note when they are 40-channel because a lot of people said, no, there were 40-channel tube CB radios, but yes, there were. 76, I guess, was the official date. 1976, sometime there, where FCC said, yes, indeed, 40-channel crystal controlled is the thing. And then for about a year or two, there were still some tube radios being made, and they all were 40-channel. So there you go. Thanks for give us another transmission before you go on that one, which is definitely the Panasonic chassis. Sounding good, Paul.
Yeah, okay, I'm real proud of this one. It's a real clean radio, inside and out. Very pretty radio, and rather modern, too. They were getting to keep the women happy. Okay, thanks for checking it in, Danny.
Thanks for bringing it by. The old Tube Radio Network, real radios glowing in the dark. And hello to our station still listening and hanging out with us out there in Maryland, California. New York is in. Hello to Liverpool, Virginia, South Carolina, Georgia, Washington, waiting for the E-skip. Tennessee, of course, Colorado, Central California, Southern California, Alberta, Utah, Spokane, Washington, up in the balcony, trying to get as high as possible, stringing up that dipole, see if they can pick up channel 11 here from the Central Valley, looking for Radio 3. I'm going to step away out of the air chair from the microphonium for just a second. I need to check on a few things in the studio, but I will be right back. OTR.
45. He'll be right back.
All right, let me swing the microphone back here. I was checking my irrigation system, and I had some cooling going on in the room here, and I don't need to do that. It is 78 degrees, which is just fine. I notice a cool breeze coming through the window. So we'll save on some cooling here. And I hear the voice of, thank you, Chris, for the relay there, hearing the voice of SWL 45. Hello, Paul, over.
After him.
Yeah, we'll take up Paul's Radio 3, and Chris, you'll be Radio 4. Hello, Paul, over.
Yeah, okay, that doesn't make any difference. I'll go on right now or wait. Is it Chris? Go ahead, Chris.
No, you was first, Ed. I just told you he wasn't there yet. No, you're first. I'm after you.
Okay, no problem. My radio's kind of boring. This is a T-Berry Model T 40-channel radio.
When it comes to old tube radios, I don't think boring fits into the vocabulary. Let's go to, and this is apropos from our last radio, but I will ask again, is that that is the 40-channel version or the 23-channel version? Over.
No, this is the hybrid 40-channel.
Okay, the T-Berry Model T, which, if you were to take the case off, probably looks very, very similar to the GTX 5000, even though on, we'll call it the front elevation, has a few different things going on. Of course, it does have the LED channel selector. And we'll see how it sounds compared to the Gemtronics. Give us a transmission, over.
Okay. Well, if you're checking the frequency, I'm right on this one. This is made, the radio's made around 1978. And definitely made by Panasonic in Japan. Panasonic had them do it. They followed their specs. They did a darn good job. Anyway, it's just like the Robin 240D, and just like the one I just checked in just a minute ago. The same radio, same chassis. The lights are a little different, but that's about the only thing on the thing. But I like to check them in because there's 40 channel, and it's about the last ones they made. Thanks, Dennis. 45.
They were still making them, sounding good. I remember I've talked to a lot of T-Berries. They went to 40 channel. I'm trying to think. And the Robins, back in 72, 73, 74, 75, I was up here in Fresno, so I wasn't transmitting, but I was listening a lot. Let's see if we've got any info on that. Might be the same info. Yeah, the Panasonic 40 channel, doing a good job. S-meter-wise and audio-wise, you are very, very similar to the GTX 5000. And have you tried, are the microphones that you use for those radios, are they compatible? Can you plug one in, the same one into both radios? Have you tried that, over?
Oh, you read my mind, Dennis. It's the same mic I was talking on the last radio I had. It's compatible for it, 100%. Well, this is I checked in here. Anyway, you got it down there. I'll think of it in a minute here. Back to you.
All right. I was going to say, it shouldn't be any reason why they wouldn't be. And if you get one that plays well on one, and you can swap it for all the rest of them, maybe a little bit of a hassle, but if you sound good, why not? Radio number 3, the T-Berry Model T, another 40-channel entry. In the final days of the valved Citizen Band radios in 1976, 77, and 78, as solid state was the way to go, but Panasonic still knowing that there was a market for the good tube sound, and we're glad that they did that. Thanks, Paul, for checking that in. Let's move over to radio number 4, and SWL 37 is stepping up into the air chair right now. Hello, Chris.
Hello, Dennis. 37 here. I check in my general radio telephone the Super MC11A 24-channel version, sir, and we run this with a handheld stock microphone. Over.
No 40 channels there. No need to cut any wires for the limiter or whatever because it has plenty of audio. We'll do a hot swap on the video picture to get the general radio telephone there, and there it is. It's always the audio sounding nice and clear, and hopefully I am sounding good through the speaker. And what is that dial in the middle called? The range expander, the range something. Over.
The dial in the middle is fine-tuning.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I see the plus minus. You should not have to do anything for that. You know what? Let me test. I never get to test something, so I'm assuming there's a knob on that, and it works. You can turn it back and forth.
Yes.
All right. So we're going to do a test here. Those at home or listening on the internet, you won't hear this test, but those of you out there listening that have the Delta Tune, as it was called, or variable frequency adjustment, plus and minus, we are now going to check it out. So what I'm going to do now, don't move your dial, don't move your plus and a minus adjustment yet. I'm going to do something, and then if I sound like sideband to you, move your dial to the minus. Usually it's to the left. But move your dial to the minus if in about 5 seconds I start sounding like sideband radio, and I'll chat here just a little bit. I'll chat just a little bit and move your dial to the minus side and see if that makes me sound any more like a human being. And now we're going to go back. You can adjust those, adjusting your radios. You can adjust your Delta tunes, your variable frequency back to the center position, and maybe I sounded better. Did that work at all? Over?
Yes, but it is. You went further than what I could.
Okay, but did it cleared it up better?
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. But now I've got you back to norm.
All right, we're going to do the same thing, but I'm going to go to the high side, and I'm going to go the same amount, but plus, and see if it's any different. This would be a good way to calibrate. You can tell if your Delta Tune is calibrated. So if I sound better on one side or the other, then in theory, your calibration, your dial may be off a little bit. So here we go. At some point, I may sound like sideband. Remember, you're going to the plus side now. Going to the right, and I'm going to go the same amount. I perhaps could sound a little bit scratchy and sideband if you don't have a way to adjust your frequency. But those who have the Delta Tune with the plus, I might sound more like a normal human being right here. Radio, orange furniture, sizzling sausage, and then we're going to go back to 27085 over.
Now, my range part would go further that way, so I tuned you in quite well.
All right, that probably tells you that your adjustment is favoring, it's not quite in the center. So when you go to the low side, maybe you only have a 2 kilohertz spread. When you go to the plus side, maybe you have a 4 kilohertz spread out of a 3 and 3. Out of that 6, you've got a little bit out of balance, but it works. That is to prove that it works. All right, and that's just to give me something to do here.
Well, you did well.
I did well. All right, let me go back to the control room. I guess I should have had the control room up as I was doing all that willy-nilly stuff there. Radio 4 sounding good. Give us another transmission, and thanks for letting me play a little bit with my radio here and your general radio telephone, Super MC11A.
Well, they're no fun unless you can play with them.
And we do that on Saturday evenings. Thanks, Chris, for bringing by the general radio telephone. The jingle singers are not ready, so we'll be standing by for radio number 5. the jingle singers say they are now ready. So tell us about that friendly place to be on Saturday nights.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, the friendliest station for you by far is known to all as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
the station for you is
OTR.
Hopefully the station for you is the Old Tube Radio Network here on Saturday evenings looking for Radio 5. The break OTR, go ahead, please. Over. All right, SWO 43 is a little light, but I think you said that you were on the Courier, and the Courier 23, is that correct? Over. All right, let me see if I think I've got a shot. I know I've got the early Couriers. The Courier 23. Oh yeah, we've got a great picture thanks to Phil's radio collection. I'm gonna put that up on the screen, and we will go for a radio check-in on the very cool. If it's treated the same elevation, chrome and black, or a Courier 23, over.
Yeah, there's a lot of chrome on this radio. It is pretty radio.
Yeah, classic. This is the classic old tube radio style where it had to look like you were going to take a transmission when you made the relays clink. I'm assuming it's relay switching. I could be wrong about that. Let's see what info we have about it. Sam CB8 in CB8, originally sold for $189.50. Also have an ad, which I may pop up as well. What microphone are you using on the Courier 23? Over. Right, the standard TUG8 and the D104 sounds good. Doesn't really need any audio amplification. Signal is putting through nicely for Radio 5. I see a light there. I'm assuming that's a modulation. It's red. That's typically on your end for modulation. So if you see it blinking occasionally, that's a good thing.
Hey, she's blinking all the way. Yeah, this is the first time talking on this radio. I just picked it up in a box of goodies and got it running.
It's doing well. Nice audio. Good signal. Take a transmission. Take another transmission, and I'll check the frequency here. Over. All right, I get the zero beat at 2708.4, so about 300, because I'm off by 1. So it's about 300 cycles on the high side, which is well within range, no problem.
Well, that's good to know it's working.
Yeah, no problem. Courier 23 is the radio at hand, radio number 5, and that is in front of the microphone, Mr. Crazy Eddie. Doing a good job. Thanks for bringing it by.
Roger, I'll slip on the side now.
You're listening to the Old Tube Radio Network. We are looking for radio number 6. And if I didn't say hi to Ferd in Central Oregon and all our stations listening up there, I will do that now. Intermittent wipers were invented by Lucas. Whenever you hit a bump in the road, it triggered the wipers. Is that a true thing? I remember the vacuum ones that were running off. They weren't electric. They were running off the vacuum. So you'd go up a hill, or you have heavy acceleration, and they would slow down. I think that's how they were working off a vacuum. Don't need at least here on the West Coast Central Valley, don't need the wipers this weekend for sure. Looking for radio number 6. Imagine if you mounted an antenna on one of those older cars that had the wipers mounted on the top of the windshield as the blade moved back and forth near the bottom of your, put a little cowl mount or a mag mount. It might change your match as that metal moved back and forth. And for those of you who are over at oldtuberadio.net, I changed from the radio picture of the Courier to the advertisement. Looking to see if there's a date on that. Now, the all-new Courier 23, including all crystals for $189.50. That was a big thing, to upgrade your set from maybe a 5-channel or an 8-channel where you had to pay that $4 or whatever it was to add a channel, and you think, gosh, for only $190, I can get all 23 channels. The ultimate in two-way radio, the most complete high-performance, low-cost CB radio, according to the ad. Top flight performance. Extreme reliability for trouble-free operation. Dollar-for-dollar value. If all of these factors are important, you must have the Courier 23. See the ultimate today, and it doesn't give a manufacturer city. The Old Tube Radio Network, looking for radio number 6. I'm back. You're back with you, so radio's talking to you.
43 again with this good old AM routing.
Boy, that's even, I didn't think it was possible, but it's even louder than the Courier 23. Which Eagle is that? The original Eagle, or are we going up the line a bit?
Number 3.
Oh, okay. We're going up the line a bit. And you said it's the AM version?
Sure, it's got sideband on the receive, but straight AM transmitter, a little transmitter.
Yeah, I'm going to bring up a brochure. Because typically we see a lot of I could be able to get that to look a little bit better. With the receiver and the transmitter that is not the size of the receiver, mainly because they didn't add all the sideband items. The good thing about that back in the day, if you really wanted to get into the big Browning, getting that combination there would save you $200. I bet you did, but if it was back in 1973, and you weren't going to buy the used, Chevy, and you could spend your money on getting the brand new Browning. The Golden Eagle Mark III AM base station represents the highest standard of electronic engineering for AM operation. This base utilizes the same quality receiver matched to the famous Mark III AM transmitter. Browning excellence is recognized the moment you key the microphone. So go ahead and be excellent once again.
Roger, I do have Big Brother, too, if I can find a meter for it.
You mean like the meter, the panel meter that goes in the radio?
Roger.
I bet they're around. That's the problem with buying a junker, say a junker, if there's such a thing, junker Browning for parts, is it could get pretty expensive. And, of course, you probably know that, was it Barkets? Is that the people? Might have some stock on hand occasionally. But you're a crafty fellow, so you might even be able to do better than that. That's true. The meters, there's a meter on the transmitter and a meter on the receiver. They're nice and large, and they do have, especially the transmitters, they've got multi-function controls for the bias and the SWR and the modulation and some other things. So it could be an important deal, that's for sure. We are chatting with radio number 6 on our list tonight. And kind of a rare, pun intended, a rare bird. It is the AM version of the Mark III Golden Eagle. I would say the majority, 75 to 90%, probably 90% of the Mark IIIs that we check in are the SSB, but it's always nice to know that some of the AM radios still exist. And, of course, the Browning receiver, which is nice because it makes the micro-milliwatted mismodulated net control sound good as well. All right, well, thank you for bringing us radio number 6 tonight, the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III AM. You're doing a good job into Midtown Fresno tonight. The Old Tube Radio Network. At the bottom of the hour, let's see, where can we go? Yeah, Jingle Singers are saying that they are ready, and we'll be looking for Radio 7.
You're listening in the latest style.
27.085 megahertz. Channel 11, Old Tube Radio.
In wonderful
Fresno, California.
hear my static noise level. I've got an RF gain control set pretty high, but I'm not hearing that noise that we all know, that sound that we all know, that when the band is opening, the E-skip is ready to come in. I don't know if any of the sideband guys up on 38 are having any luck with conditions tonight, but we can always hope that we could get a few check-ins from afar. Meantime, we'll be listening for radio number 7. And Timtron up in the Pacific Northwest is confirming that very thing, that there is no DX at the moment. Probably checking in on his big Yaesu transceiver there. It can show up in a moment, so we've still got another half hour to go here. We will see what happens. Anyway, Tim, hello to you. Hope all is going well, and that you are finding some DX on the other bands when necessary. My schedule has been so crazy busy that my antenna projects have been put on hiatus here. I do not have my big doublet up in the air yet. Otherwise, probably be hearing you guys up on 75 meters when you get on. Although I heard you on the Starduster, what was it, a couple months ago. So it ought to be good with a wire that's supposed to work on those frequencies. The Old Tube Radio Network, 27085 is where you should be listening if you're within the RF zone, and everywhere else, pick us up at oldtuberadio.net, standing by for radio number 7. And good night to JTSWL21. He's going to polish the ground rod, make sure that it's ready to go. It's like, I guess that's like brushing your teeth, right? Before you leave the radio room, you make sure that the radios are where they should be and polish the ground rod off, and then go brush your teeth. Good night, JT. Thanks for what you do with the old radio night. I know from experience, sometimes it's a lot of work to get everything up and running and host a show or a net like that, but we're glad you do, and thanks for hanging out with us with your knowledgeable CB brain. OTR standing by.
Late check-in.
Boy, isn't that a coinky-dink? Late check-in. And as I look at the next radio that needs to check in, that would be Radio 7. Let's see, I'm looking for my SWL list, is what I'm doing, the analog version, which is buried because we've been checking in radios. And there you are, and then I go over to the big board, and we click on 7, and then the whole world knows that you are RF activated.
Thank you, sir. Just got in the radio room.
All right. Well, I will say that we are looking for Radio 7, and be standing by.
Break Old Tube Radio.
The Break Old Tube Radio. This is your Old Tube Radio Network. Go ahead.
Well, greetings from the, unfortunately, the Radio Lounge. How about a late check-in for SWL 47?
I can do that. SWL 47. We'll go to the big board and make it official across the Universal Media Netweb, and then we will go to page 2, which is the one that's printed backwards and upside down. It's always hard for me to find. And put an X in the square. And are you one of the many people who is out and about today doing things, doing something? Or it sounds like you are perhaps relaxing out in the radio lounge.
Well, I had high hopes of at least attempting, because sometimes it doesn't work out, depending on which campsite I'm at. I have not had a vacation in forever, and I thought I was just going to be incredibly selfish and take a few hours to myself and go up to the mountains and spend the night up there, just for one night, less than 24 hours. And check in at least attempt to check in an old tube radio. But let me tell you something. Well, don't try that. The campsite I was trying to go to, which is normally open year-round, was closed because of just the condition of the trees and I guess high levels of snow, although I think that's Azalea campground. It wasn't necessarily covered with a bunch of snow, but because of, thanks to years of drought in California, I guess the trees apparently are too dangerous to camp on. So they closed my campground down. I took a nice hour-and-a-half trip up there, only to discover I could not camp and could not check a robin. And no, I'm not happy about that.
Well, you did try. You did get a modicum amount of fresh air, although sometimes the air is so bad here, even going up 5,000 feet doesn't help much. But I think if you were in snowline there, you were up probably higher than that. Probably at least 6,500 to 7,000, maybe even more. I don't know what they have available. I think like the highest ones up on off of 180, 198 are up around 7,000. What is that? The name I can't remember, not Ponderosa, but the one in Sequoia. So that would have been fun, but at least you managed to sneak away from the valley for a little bit.
You got away for a little bit and at least wound up with some ice cream and a serving of French fries from a business establishment up there. So I could not check in my beloved radio that I often use out on excursions in a mobile mode. Couldn't do the Robin T123, but since I'm completely exhausted and want to go to bed, I didn't have the energy to get that one back online. But I do have the next best thing for your listening pleasure, an old tube radio to check in a Robin T123B in Bravo.
All right, we will check that in. The T123B, which I think has a range boost, which I'm going to say isn't on, or if it is, it's on very low. You probably got about 50% modulation. I'm hearing you just fine because you have a pretty decent signal coming into the control shack here tonight. Some stations farther out that are listening on the RF side might not hear you as well as I do. Radio 7 is what we'll put down here at 9:45. And if I heard correctly and am showing the picture, which I am, correct or not, the Robin T123 Bravo over.
Yes, you're correct. And thank you for reminding me. I definitely have. I can't be tired. You can't be lazy when you use this particular radio. Unlike my other Robin, which has the Magic Eye tube, it's pretty easy on that particular radio to tell if you're speaking loud enough, or if you're putting out enough signal. This one is a little more tricky. I really don't like speaking this loud, nor do I like really getting invading the personal space of the microphone that I'm using right now. It's against my personality, but I'm doing it right now. This 123 Bravo, and you're correct, it's the 123 Bravo. There is no Magic Eye tube to indicate what you're doing, but it does have a very small modulation lamp, and as I'm not kidding, I feel like I'm screaming in this thing. I can feel the spit coming out of my mouth, and I think I think you said I was at 50% modulation, which would basically jive with what this light's doing. I can't make it even light up halfway, or at least what I would imagine would be full strength. But it's a good, I guess it's a good radio. The range boost is on. I wish there was a double secret range boost somewhere on this thing that I could turn on, but no such luck.
I think you did well. The range boost was on, and then you did your best version of what we call the Harvey range boost, and that brought everything up just fine. I see a little bit of wiggle meter now in the forward direction, which I wasn't seeing before, so that tells me you're inserting enough audio into the carrier to do good things. The Robin T123 Bravo, at least playing well here in the low altitudes. This is the Panasonic version. We started off the net here with the Panasonic versions, the 40-channel Panasonic versions of that chassis that were produced from 1976, or after 1976. And this is the one that showed up from 1972 to 76. It probably would have been around even longer had they not switched over to 40 channels. 11 tubes. There's an operator's manual and a schematic for that at oldtuberadio.com. And see, you have good things on your side. You have a 12AX7 in the audio department inside that radio. So you cannot fail in your endeavor to sound good. Over.
Oh, good. I'm not sure if I necessarily agree with that. I think there's a lot of things, especially in this realm, that I tend to fail at. But there it is. I am always curious, because I know this is not one of the loudest radios I have. I am always curious as to what an amplified D104 would do on this radio. I don't even know how many folks. Maybe I'll just ask you, how many folks do you recall offhand that have these 123Bs are actually hooking up amplified mics? I'm curious. I wonder what that would sound like.
I think, but he runs the 240. That's Jerry on the Mountain Mate. I think he's got an amplified D104, which sounds really good. And with anything, the amplification, you've got to have it just right, and you've got some internal adjustments between the range boost on and the range boost off, and how it was prior adjusted, if it was adjusted for whatever the specs were, saying this is how you adjust it via the book, or adjusted via I've got an amplified mic, and I want to run the range boost at the same time, so I turn everything way down. We adjust everything way down, so when you don't have an amplified mic, you're still kind of hosed, even with the range boost on. But I think you're somewhere in between that. And as we've heard demonstrated many times before, just because you are louder doesn't mean you sound better. Some of the radios will amplify your voice. Brownings can just get louder. Some radios will make you sound a little bit mushy, lose some of the frequency response. So it's a very fine art on doing it well. And I think where you're at now, even though it might be a bit uncomfortable, is sounding good. I noticed there's an external speaker light. This radio has a light that comes on when you plug in an external speaker. That's different. But you've got the modulation, winking, blinking, and that gives you an indication that at least there's something happening. So maybe that's probably might be the only difference you will see. The only difference you will notice is the light will get brighter. Now, we all out here on the receive side will notice some other differences, whether they be good or bad, here on your radio number 7, our radio number 7.
Okay, good. Yeah, and as always, you're correct. There is, I guess you can hook up an external speaker on this thing. There's a lamp that'll do that. What in God's name is this other P? Well, that's the... Do I have 2 lamps? I guess I do. Oh my God, you're educating me on my own radio here, and it's not even in front of you. I guess I do have an external speaker that I can hook up. I didn't know that. And I guess if you do that, a lamp's going to light up. Boy, now I really want to start playing around with some wires tonight. But there's also I think it's a white PA lamp. I assumed, at first, I assumed that's what you were talking about. So if you didn't want to talk to someone over the air, and you just wanted to, I don't know, chat with someone that I don't know, what did people use these PAs for? They're hooking up speakers to their cars, or maybe something out in the backyard to tell your kids to get out of the swimming pool. It's getting too late. I don't know. But it definitely does have both those, an external lamp, an external speaker lamp, I should say, and a PA. I don't know. As always, you're giving me some rather curious homework. I like that.
Yeah, this is the curious homework frequency. Why that RF is still getting in the sound card. I wanted to shout out to Tim before he gets out of range, I guess, gets out of the car heading to work and on the doublet. Yeah, 40 meters. That's good. I'm sure I can hear him on 75 and 40 is usually longer at night. So yeah, Tim, I'll give you a shout when I get the doublet going. The Robin is sounding good. It's nice and mellow. I think if you listen to the archives, you will like it, and whatever adjustment you made, whether it was a Harvey range boost or wrapping the microphone on the table, doing a good job for us here on the old Tube Radio Network. And I think I had another comment. I'm going to need to put myself a notepad so I can write the comments down. Anyway, take another transmission. It is getting that time. I want to make sure we can get everybody checked in here. You are Radio 7 on the Robin T123 Bravo. And glad you were able to make it in. Appreciate your effort to give us probably what would be one of our first mobile check-ins for 2019, but there will be plenty of time, and hopefully they will get the tree situation safe and reopen. I hope it's not something they're just going to leave closed because they don't have enough people to do what they need to do. So eventually, hopefully, they will get it open and you will be back where you need to be. Back to you.
Yeah, I think they're going to get it. They'll get it done. I think they're, with all the turmoil that we see in the news today, I think there are a bunch of good people doing good jobs, and I do have faith that they'll get everything safe and ready. And it's springtime. I got good. This may sound kind of funny. I got good vibes from all the folks up there, and I think they're working hard and they're serious about what they're doing, and they have good hearts. So maybe sometime soon. I'm sorry it wasn't tonight, but sometime soon we'll get some old tube action going on in the National Forest. So, anyways, thanks for letting me check in this radio in the radio lounge. It's not in a national park, but the radio lounge I guess isn't half bad. But anyways, thanks for everything you're doing. Thanks for letting me check it in. And on that, have a good evening. 73.
All right, not in national parks. That means you don't have to fully behave tonight. I just checked I didn't have it online, but I just checked the Orban loudness meter, and you were at on the LKFS. Don't ask me to explain that, but you were about a minus 24 when you first came on, and I noticed you're at minus 17. So that means you've increased your audio up to the range. I usually between minus 20, above minus 20, and minus 14 is about the right loudness. So you're right in the middle of the ballpark right there. Also, thank you, Mike. I want to say hello to and officially hold the switch here for SWL number 2 on the big board, Mr. OBP, one of the net controllers here at the Old Tube Radio Network, who is in his air chair and available for commenting over on the Google, YouTube, whatever you call it, video stream, which isn't going to be up much longer. I'm not going to stay up too late tonight because I've got an early call in the AM. And it's been a busy day from, where was that? Beautiful Fowler at Simonian Farms packing plant with the birds and the eagles and the vultures and the owls and having a good time out there. And of course, it was some type of dinner thing. I forego the dinner to get back here because OTR is an important thing, and we must hear the radios as they check in. We're looking for radio number 8. And 73 to New York. We're in the wee hours of Sunday morning. Smarty Jones is going to power down the Radio Shack. Thanks for tuning in tonight. I just noticed the resting static level has come up a little bit from where it was earlier, so perhaps the little particles are warming up. And then the jingle singers said,
What are the magic numbers?
27.085 megahertz, channel 11.
Are the magic letters?
OTR.
Right here in
Fresno, California.
Radio Magic.
Old Tube Radio.
For you.
OTR.
You always seem to know when I'm counting and amounting or getting ready to do such a thing. Hello, Break OTR, otherwise known as that Harvey guy.
just made it then. Number 20 on a Golden Beagle R68 T68 and custom D104.
So could you call that a D105? Is it that custom enough? He's scratching his head with that comment.
I wish it was. I just found out something very interesting. I've got one of these heaters in here that either I've got total Alzheimer's and I meant to turn on the air conditioner, but I turned on the heater. I wonder how it got so hot in this room. It's either that or when I key up a radio with a little extra, it somehow turns the heater on. Anyway, right now it's about 100 in here. Anyway, the R68 T68 by Browning Lavatories.
Well, that just tells you that your heater works. It may be necessary. I had the cooler running here when I came in to kind of blow out the exhaust out the radio room, and I turned it off because it was cool. Cool air coming through the window, which it still is. So, yeah, if you do a little venting, just open a window or a door or something, and maybe things will be good. But the deal with transistors is they need to run cool. That's what heat sinks and fans are for. And tubes, I bet those tubes are really happy in the 100-degree weather.
Yeah, they're all smiling here. Oh, one thing, if Paul's still listening, I've got a supply of 6C10 tubes, which go in the General MC12. They're the high mu triple diode tubes. And I've got a supply of them, and for the buddy bases, some 6293s, which will replace the 6146s, and basically almost run forever. So I've lucked into a small supply of each, so if they're needed for the buddies and some other radios, I've got 6293s and 6C10s. Anyway, I'll turn it back to you.
Interesting. A quick question, which you may not know the answer to. 6293, you said, is a replacement for the 6146, which is the output tube. Is that what would typically run in a buddy as a 6146 final? I think that's like way overrated for 5 watts input, but of course, maybe it was a business band thing. And then that replacement for the 6146, is it taller, wider? Is it about the same height? How about power dissipation? What would be the advantage of using that too? Maybe it's a cost thing. I'm just curious. Is there an advantage for using that, or it's just it just happens to be replacement, and if you don't have a 6146, that'll work?
Okay, the 6146 is the upgrade of the 2E26, which basically comes in your standard buddy base, or I'll call it the upgraded buddy base. There is a 23-channel buddy TX11B that comes with smaller tubes. That's Paul's baby buddy. I mean, it looks the same as your basic 23-channel TX11B, but it's got smaller tubes. Anyway, the 6146 replaces the 2E26. The 6293 is the exact same size, as far as I can tell, as the 6146 type 2. Now, if you take a 6146, just simply plug it in to the buddy in place of the 2E26 and just do basic retuning, your plate and load and all, you instantly get more output without increasing any voltage anywhere. That's what I found with the Buddy bases. Now the 6293 replacement, basically, if whatever your, say, maxed output is on your transmitter for your particular Buddy base on dead key and swing, a 6293 with no increase of voltage, etc., will do just a hair less. There's a reason for that. The 6146 type tube has a, I think it's a 990 plate voltage. I believe it's 990. It's either 770 or 990. I'm not exactly sure right now. But the 6293, the plate voltage is 3,000 volts. I've put that tube in place of the 6146s in the Heathkit Cheyenne transmitter, and even if I have it detuned, I don't overheat the tube. And when I do tune it correctly, it puts out just a hair less than the 6146, but basically runs forever. I just don't seem to have to worry about it. I have it in a couple of the transmitters, and I've never had to replace them.
Well, it sounds like a good compromise. Losing a little bit of power, which probably is going to be negligible anyway, and with those tubes, you're running more than you're in theory allotted, as opposed to having something that will hang in there and go forever if you don't, tweak, set it right and don't overdrive it. So, okay, that's a very good explanation, and I think a reason why there's not a lot of Buddy bases around, but for those who have the technical knowledge, I remember those were always a set that people were looking for those types of little modifications, almost like the automobiles when you can tweak on the exhaust and do something with the carburetor and that kind of stuff. It gives you that little performance edge.
Roger. Yeah, I just looked up the 6146. Let's see. I believe it's around the 770, 750 type voltage output, or plate voltage max. And the 6293 is 3,000. So there are a couple of Heathkit transmitters. I'm not sure if it's the Mohawk or Mohegan. I get them mixed up as to which one's the transmitter, which one's the receiver. But the transmitter takes twin 6146s. And you can beef up the power supply, I believe. And people put in 6293s, and the talk on it that I've looked up on the internet is you put them in, tune the radio right, and they last just about forever because they run real cool because you're not pushing them at all. Of course, you may not get a max output that you get with the 6146s, but you're pushing them, and that's why they flatten out sooner.
Interesting. Yeah, the dual 6146 is not uncommon. And then my FT102s here on the desk, they run 3 6146s. And they're kind of you've got to equalize and balance them to make them work correctly. So I wonder how that would be replacing those with, replacing the 6146s in there. If you could do that, I would have to ask Mal. If he probably would not like that because that's not original stuff. But that is a problem with those. You can really kill those tubes. That's how you can tell when the tubes are bad, when the 6146s are bad, because you can key the radio with no drive, with the drive all the way down, and the tubes will just run away and burn themselves out, if you will. So I wonder if that would work on the other ones. And when you're talking 100 watts or 150 watts, losing a little bit might be an interesting thing. So I'll make a note of that, see if anybody is doing that. But typically you don't have a problem. But it runs 3. But they're persnickety getting them all dialed in there. All right, Harvey, Radio 8 is your R68, T68. I'll go back to you for a comment. And thanks for answering that question in a grand style, as you always do, and that's a good thing. See if there's any other station that would like to check in before we sign off for tonight on the Old Tube Radio Network. But let's go back to you for any comments.
Break OTR.
Yeah, I think I hear somebody else out there. Okay. Well, I just looked up the plate voltage on the 6146. It averages, depending on the type of service that the tube is used for, according to the tube book, around 750 volts max plate voltage. And the 6293 is at 3500. So, ouch. On the DC plate supply voltage. So, I mean, you can put that much and not have a problem. The deal with the 6146s is that they tend to get pushed. And if you're using the radio a lot with 6146s, I'd put in 6293s. And that way, you probably wouldn't have to worry too much. Anyway, I have a couple of buddy bases, and I think one other radio takes a 6146, and I put 6293s in all of them. Okay, back to you, Dennis. Catch you next week.
All right, thanks for that. It was, I think it was Toby who was working on a buddy base on one of his Facebook pages, so I'll have to see if they are aware of that modification. Boy, 13 after here, so I will pick up the breaker. The Jingle Singers are ready to give us their ditty and do some counting and mounting. But first, who is the breaking station?
Hello, Dennis, 131, doing a late check-in.
Hey, not a problem. We're just looking at page 4, which is where you're at, and we'll put an X in the square, SW 131. Mr. Rude, and we'll pop up the big number here on the item of interest. Thanks for, we're going a little late tonight, so it worked out well. Thanks for remembering the old Tube Radio Network.
Really got that.
And any other check-ins before the Jingle Singers do their thing? Which sounds a lot like this.
You're tuned to
OTR. Channel 11.
Right here in
Fresno, California.
Stay with us.
Old Tube Radio.
And be modern.
I was wondering why it's so quiet. It's like I didn't have my foot off the aisle switch. They've got these big, I told you, I've got these big clunky boots I'm wearing, and sometimes I get a little bit of the lead foot.
Lead foot's all right as long as there's no police behind you.
Yeah, just a different feel on the foot switch here.
This is the Old Tube Radio Network. Ladies and gentlemen, stand by. It's time now for the current OTR totals.
This will be the current and final OTR totals for, what is today, May 4th. Yeah, May the 4th be with you, right? May 4th, 2019. With all sorts of RF in the shack and my headphones falling off because the cord is being pulled out. It used to not be short. I wonder, why is the cord? Oh, I see. I have it dressed up for some other application, and now it's too short for where I'm sitting. So if you see me leaning forward, the way my headphoniums won't fall off. In SWLs tonight, we had 11 on page 1, 15 on page 2, 13 on page 3, and 14 on page 4 for a total of 53 check-ins. We are on the middle 4th week of our 8-week roster, and radios tonight. Looks like the Brownings just squeaked in as the most heard manufacturer, but Had a 7-way tie going on there for a long time. Radio number 1 was the ICO Sentinel 23 from Paul. Sounding good in a rare radio, but it is in some form, since it shares a chassis with a couple, at least another radio in Sam's, I think, Photofax 9. Paul came by with radio number 2, the Gemtronics GTX 5000, a 40-channel radio, and he followed that with the other 40-channel radio from that one of the other 40-channel radios from that Panasonic chassis, which is the T-Berry Model T for Radio 3. Radio 4, Chris, Mr. Go Boy on his General Radio Telephone Super MC11A. We followed that with the Courier 23 from Crazy Eddie, sounding good for Radio 5. And then he bumped it up a notch in an S unit to boot with the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III AM, Mark III transmitter with the Mark III receiver with the AM transmitter. Thanks, Eddie, for that. Radio 7 was the Robin T123B, grounded at Fresno sea level at 300 feet. It was destined to take a transmission up a little bit higher, but that was the teaser. We will hear it from its elevated position mobile at some point here soon. And then the radio you just heard, the R68 T68, and the reason why you might want to replace your 6146s in the Buddy Bass, if you are so inclined, on the Browning R68 T68. So thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us tonight, whether you're on the RF at 27085 or perhaps listening in on your Universal Media Net web device at oldtuberadio.net, or watching us on YouTube video live, or perhaps in the future, as we do archive and keep the videos up for a while. I'll also archive at oldtuberadio.net so you can hear any of the SWL or Tube Radio check-ins and give yourself a radio check-in. 73, everybody, have a good evening. The weather is nice, at least here in California. Hopefully those of you in areas where it is stormy and raining, things will be becoming a little bit more spring and summer-like, which is always a good thing in May, and we will catch you next time. Thanks to SearchLawrence.com and Fodex for the Nixie tubes. And the Old Tube Radio Network will return next Saturday, we hope, at around 8 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Good night, everybody.
Hi, Dennis.
Good night, Dennis.
And good night on the video stream. As we say, 73 to you.